Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Okay, so we got a huge breaking announcement here. The charges are officially in. Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson, has been formally charged with 7 criminal counts, and we're learning that Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray has confirmed that the state will be seeking the death penalty in this case. Let's go ahead and play the clip of the announcement.
Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
So the prosecutors in this case are now adding aggravating factors, that this was political, this was targeted, aggravated murder, a capital offense for intentionally targeting and killing Charlie Kirk under circumstances, creating a risk of death to others. And all of these charges to them are justifying the death penalty, which I absolutely agree with. I think most people are thinking, good, this clown deserves nothing less. My only regret is that he's probably going to live on the taxpayer's dime for years, maybe decades, before facing his ultimate fate. I wish in instances like this there was a way to fast track it. You know, the president signing an executive order that basically, if this kid's found guilty, puts him in a cannon and shoots him into the largest volcano possible. But outside of my righteous fantasies, at least now justice is on the table. You know, there's really not much else to say here until this case goes to court, at least in terms of the charges and what's going on legally. But now, speaking of the Tyler Robinson case and charges, we've got some more charges dropping, this time not on Tyler Robinson, but actually on the individual known as George Zinn. The sheer chaos of this case just continues to get darker and darker. I'm sure you guys remember him, the man that was initially accused of pulling the trigger, this guy that was arrested on scene.
Shoot me! Shoot me! Was that you? We don't know if it's him or not.
You know, at first people thought that this was the shooter, then we were under the impression we thought that it was a mistaken identity, but now we have some more context here. Turns out that it wasn't a mistake. Now, this lunatic, after Charlie Kirk was shot, proclaimed that he was the one who shot Charlie Kirk and said, "I shot Charlie Kirk, shoot me, shoot me." And apparently he's now admitting that he did that to create a distraction so that the real killer could escape. Absolutely disgusting. And now here's the update in terms of charges. Mr. George Zinn here is now being charged with felony obstruction, and he is being held without bond. And if you think that that's the end of it, nope, it's not. It in fact gets worse. After his arrest, Zinn was complaining about chest pains. He got sent to the hospital, and while FBI agents were interviewing him, he volunteered his phone, and guess what they found? Apparently, it was filled graphic photos and videos of underage people. You get what I'm saying? CP, they call it. And sure enough, now he's facing CP charges, as well as felony obstruction charges. And so here we are, the actual assassin is facing capital murder charges, and somebody who is now, I guess, his accomplice. Now, that's not to say that George Zinn was part of some conspiracy. I don't know if they were connected or he was part of the plan. I don't think so, but he certainly involved himself in the case. He became an accomplice by attempting to create a distraction so that this guy could go away. And on top of that, he's now being hit with CP charges. You know, this whole thing, it's showing you what kind of people that we are dealing with here. The sickest of the sick, deviants, degenerates, violent people who are filled with hate and have no shred of humanity. And honestly, I think we're starting to build a little bit of a trend here. Remember those radicals who chased and attacked Kyle Rittenhouse? Yeah, we remember their criminal pasts. It's always the same thing. We find the same rot underneath. These violent ideologues, these mentally unstable people, these sexual predators, these degenerates with no respect for life or decency. It's all connected, folks. This is the culture that is currently being cultivated, this glorifying of violence, dehumanizing of people, this celebrating of death. We're talking about a culture that fosters people who are rotted out morally from top to bottom. Hopefully this is a wake-up call. It just seems like we're losing the plot as a culture when people are openly cheering for political murder, and when so many people who are part of these radical, violent groups are engaged in all this deviant behavior. You know what it feels like is these are people that are being shaped by a society that is abandoning the very ethics and moral foundation that built this nation, that built this part of the world. For generations, we had shared understanding, and a lot of it was rooted in faith, rooted in Christian teaching and theology. The shared view was that life was sacred, that morality mattered, that discipline and virtue came before selfishness. Those were the core tenets. That's what gave America its strength. That's what gave the West stability. It wasn't perfect, sure, but at the core, at least we had a set of guiding principles. But now it's all been replaced with secular hedonism, secular nothingism, with relativism, especially cultural relativism, this do-what-you-feel type culture, a culture that worships victimhood and nihilism instead of responsibility and faith. And look at what is being produced. Young men and women completely detached from reality, unmoored, lost. A culture that glorifies degeneracy online, that mocks tradition, mocks faith. And then we're shocked when it manifests itself in this pure evil. Folks, the moral core of this country is rotting. And without that core, you get exactly what we're seeing. A generation of lost people, radicalized, angry, resentful, with no sense of a higher purpose. With no ethics, no moral compass. People who think that meaning comes from destruction, from chaos, from tearing down what others work so hard to build. We gotta tackle this, folks. We gotta teach our kids. The entire education system needs to be restructured and reformed. We need to bring back ethics. We need to bring back basic cultural standards and, frankly, bring back shame. We are in a fallen state. I've been very open about my upbringing and my connection to religion. I just wasn't brought up that way. But the more exposure I have to this stuff, the more I'm feeling this yearning, this call to God, this call to go to church. Something is deeply and fundamentally wrong. People are freaking lost, man. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. It's not like I have the solutions to the world's problem, but at least I can clearly identify the problem. And obviously, I think to a lot of people, we've identified that our culture is decaying. We are in a fallen state. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.